All right, this is the copyright disclaimer. The copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Fair use, fair use, fair use.
On April 1, 1807, Ohio enacted a law that prohibited black people from testifying in cases where white people were involved. In the early 1800s, the black population of Ohio grew exponentially as black people gained freedom and escaped enslavement. In response, Ohio's legislature launched a coordinated campaign to prevent black people from settling in the state. Ohio's black laws, enacted between 1804 and 1807, restricted the movement and freedom of black people already living in the state, denied all black people the right to public education, and required black residents to register with local authorities and prove their freedom on demand. Other laws prevented black people from competing financially with white residents. One law required black people to post a $500 bond guaranteed by two white men within 20 days of moving to the state. The 1807 testimony law built on these racial restrictions and prohibited any black person from testifying against white people who committed crimes against them or others. The law made black people vulnerable to exploitation and abuse. White landowners took land and other resources from black people by filing frivolous suits they knew they could win, since black people could not defend themselves through testimony. In one 1841 case, a black woman who witnessed two white men murder her husband was barred from testifying in court. Ohio's testimony law remained in effect for decades and had long-term consequences that left black people unprotected by laws upholding basic rights.
All right, Shalom. We are the Hebrew Israelites from the Indianapolis branch of the Great Millstone, and we're here to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Barakakadash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and teaching us this 100% truth. Salutations to them and our fellow Akim who labor in this truth week in and week out on the highways and byways. Also, salutations to the hopeful elect of the scattered 12 tribes of Israel, scattered to the four corners of the earth, that be like unto the speckled bird, also known as your Israelite foreigners and your so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. To you, we say Shalom.
Shalom.
All right, today is another installment of our camp series called For Thy Violence Against Thy Brother Jacob. And we're going to be going into Ohio's black laws. Now, just keep in mind that these black laws were not just exclusive to Ohio. They were all over the U.S. at the time. That's the states that were free states for the slaves, as well as the ones that were that had slaves. Okay, where slavery was legal. Okay, so those are not exclusive. We have to keep in mind that this is occurred in 1807. The slaves were freed in 1865. So here you have 58 years of black codes that were put on the books for the slaves that were turned into laws. And of course, as you know, while due to the Emancipation Proclamation that started in 1863 with all the other states, and then finally concluded with Texas on June 19th of 1865. That's where you get Juneteenth from. All of those black codes were being turned into laws, and then that ultimately fed into the ratification of the 13th Amendment, which says slavery was abolished except you become a felon. Well, the cost of breaking some of those black codes was a felony, like loitering, not having employment. Okay, so this has been a systematic thing for a very, very long time with Esau Edom and his hatred against Jake. A lot of these led into violence, which we'll go into the opening scripture.
Obadiah, verse 10 says, "For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever."
Yeah, and as you will see in this article, as one of the codes, they passed laws to where Jake could not testify against the so-called white man for any crimes that he did against others or he himself, which means they could have perpetuated violence. Okay, and had no consequences for it. This is literally the what was that act called that was made for white? The Casual Killing Act of 1669. So this stuff was going on a long time. The Casual Killing Act of 1669 pretty much was created for white women, through the correction of the children that were, under her, had servitude under her. If she killed them during a course of correction, they were not held accountable for it. So that's pretty much what a lot of these laws were doing. Just unfair advantages to Jake the whole time. Okay, and because of that violence, it says the shame is going to cover them, and we're seeing that right now, every day. They're being exposed. That's why they were at one point in time boasting about the things they could do to Jake, and now that shame is covering them because it's being exposed on a daily basis. Because what's happening right now? At first, it was just Jake saying it, and they had put that line, sold to other nations, and made them think the propaganda made them think that we were the bad ones all the time. Well, this guy in office right now has exposed all. He's ripped the veil off of them, showing you that all of these upper echelon Edomites are really real wicked people. And Edomite, the so-called white people today. All right. So now you start to see that, and again, that shame is covering them. Okay. So everything that they've come with is a lie. Okay. And the world is seeing that now. It's not just us. Okay. When Jake, the Lord put the spirit on Jake to not go out with these atrocities, sit back, because they, even though it was a worldly thing with the elections, okay, Jake felt like, hey, even we're not supposed to be voting anyway. I just want to put that out there. Even though that those things had come to pass, Jake was like, look, we're done. We're done. You guys, you see what type of person this is. You still got to vote for him, and he showed his true colors. Once he got in his office, got his administration, it's all wickedness. All right, nothing but wickedness. Right? And what's that? Psalms 12 and 8. When the wicked are exalted, when the vilest men are exalted, the wicked walk on every side. All right.
So the wicked walketh on every side when the vilest men are exalted.
Yep. Thwada. So that's what we're dealing right now, and that shame is covering them, which is why they're trying to pull all the history and censoring. I had a comment removed yesterday. Go ahead.
The article.
Oh, the article.
Yeah. You had a precept?
Next one.
Yeah.
No, bring out your precept.
Okay. That's 2 Thessalonians 2 and 8, just to back up the brother. It says, and then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. All right, so he brought that up to back up the point that the brother Barzal was making, man. All right, this scripture is in full effect. It has been in full effect for years, but now you're really starting to see who the wicked is that the scripture speaks about, man.
Yep.
All right. Nothing that Esau was doing in the past and is doing up until this present day is going unnoticed by the people, man. All right, you got a like I said, low level Jakes exposing the things that Esau have done, and you also got whistleblowers of his own nation, man. all right, bringing out his wickedness, man. And it's all through the spirit of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. All right? Because the prophets have been on the highway, the prophets of the Lord been on the highways and byways for years telling you who the wicked is, man.
Mm-hmm.
But now the Lord is really allowing that to be revealed, man.
Mm-hmm.
All right?
It says, shame shall cover him. You want to finish that? You read that Obadiah on 10.
Yeah, and Obadiah 10, it says, For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever.
It says, yeah, and thou shalt be cut off forever. Now, this is that being cut off forever is going to come after your slavery. You know, that's it's twice as long and twice as hard as ours was, but in righteousness, according to Revelation 18. Okay, you're gonna have to serve double. All right, and all throughout the course of that, you're gonna have to restore all the goods that you took away. All right, your precept.
Yeah, I got that precept. This is Revelation chapter 18 and verse 5. It says, "For her sins have reached unto heaven, and Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai hath remembered her iniquities."
Mm-hmm.
It says, "Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her, double according to her works."
Mm-hmm.
It says, "The cup which she hath filled to her double."
Go ahead.
Yeah, that's right, man. So you know, Esau Edom is gonna be rewarded, you know, a double, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, except for the fact that in the kingdom, you know, we're not gonna be doing the wicked things, all right, that Esau Edom has did to us, like, you know, doing abominable things, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like buck breaking and all that, the madness, man.
Yep.
All right. You know, but Esau Edom is gonna feel the wrath of Yahweh Bashim Yahshai, you know, through his people,
Mm-hmm.
the nation of Israel, man.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So just like how they're oppressing us, you know, just like how we can't, you know, have you know, really have anything on this side, really, because we're all spoiled of everything on this side, man. You know, being oppressed on all levels, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know how we had how this country was built off the blood and sweat and tears of our people, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, our people being put to death, man.
God.
So that this place could get built up, man. Hey, Esau Edom's gonna experience the same thing in the kingdom, man.
Yep.
You know, but on a much more higher
Quick precept.
scale.
Quick precept, because I know you mentioned, you know, the wine, that cup, right, and filled unto her double.
Mm-hmm.
So this is Jeremiah, just going into this cup real quick. Jeremiah 25 verse 15. It says, "For thus saith the Lord, power of Israel, unto me, take the wine cup of this fury at my hand, and cause all the nations to whom I send thee to drink it."
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, so just going into, you know, the wrath, you know, we went into slavery. All the things in which they've done, you know, unto us shall be done unto thee.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Con.
Yeah.
You had some more?
That's it on there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, and at the end of that, Obadiah 10, it says they shall be cut off forever. All right, which means after you've done the restitution of all of our goods, you know, serve your appointed time in slavery, you know, the nation of Esau Edom will no longer exist again. Can you read that in Obadiah 18?
Verse 18, it says, "And the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame."
Okay, that's the northern and southern, the southern and northern kingdom, respectively.
"And the house of Esau for stubble, and they shall kindle in them and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for the Lord hath spoken it."
God, so after your slavers, then you're going to be rounded up in a pit and burned up, just like you burned Jacob alive. Okay, turned into stubble. There'll be no more remaining of the house of Esau. All right. So with that, we'll get into the article. This is the article from EJI, Equality Justice Initiative. We'll put a link to this article in the description box. Now, for the sake of time, this article is very detailed about Ohio's black laws. So what we're going to do, for the sake of time, is play the embedded video that you see on the screen, and also declare once again fair use according to the Copyright Act of 1976 under Section 107. The Fair Use Act was declared in detail at the beginning of this lesson, and we're declaring it once again before we play this embedded video. Without further ado, we're going to go ahead and play the video and then put some scriptures to it after that. Here we go.
On April 1, 1807, Ohio enacted a law that prohibited black people from testifying in cases where white people were involved. In the early 1800s, the black population of Ohio grew exponentially as black people gained freedom and escaped enslavement. In response, Ohio's legislature launched a coordinated campaign to prevent black people from settling in the state. Ohio's black laws, enacted between 1804 and 1807, restricted the movement and freedom of black people already living in the state, denied all black people the right to public education, and required black residents to register with local authorities and prove their freedom on demand. Other laws prevented black people from competing financially with white residents. One law required black people to post a $500 bond guaranteed by two white men within 20 days of moving to the state. The 1807 testimony law built on these racial restrictions and prohibited any black person from testifying against white people who committed crimes against them or others. The law made black people vulnerable to exploitation and abuse. White landowners took land and other resources from black people by filing frivolous suits they knew they could win, since black people could not defend themselves through testimony. In one 1841 case, a black woman who witnessed two white men murder her husband was barred from testifying in court. Ohio's testimony law remained in effect for decades and had long-term consequences that left black people unprotected by laws upholding basic rights.
All right. So yeah, you heard it, and like I said, this article goes into great detail about all those different laws. And like I said at the beginning, these laws are not exclusive to the state of Ohio. This is all over the place, so that they could, perpetuate slavery through the federal court system. Okay. All right.
I got something.
You got something? Go ahead.
Yep. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 10, verse 1. It says, "Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, and that write grievousness which they have prescribed." All right, and this is a prime example of this scripture, man.
Yep.
All right, it says, "Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees." All those things that were spoken about in that video were examples of unrighteous decrees. All right, they made it to where the Israelite can't even testify in a course if there's a Edomite involved, man. No matter if it was a small scale case or something that was grand. All right, they weren't even allowed to testify. So that eliminates the ability to protect themselves, man. All right, and then it says, "And right grievousness in which they have prescribed." All right, and that when you go into that word grievousness, the root word for that is grief. All right, so hardship. All right, and things like that. They prescribe them, man. So with those things are written down in their laws. All right. So this is a prime example of Esau's violence against Jacob, man. All right. They were allowed to do whatever they pleased without any consequences or repercussions, man. All right.
Yeah, and one of those, the thing that really stuck out to me was that $500 bond that each Jake had to post, when they moved into Ohio. Talk about grievances. I looked that $500 up in 1800. What it would be equivalent to today, and it's approximately $12,967.66. Any of y'all got laying around liquid?
Jake ain't got hell.
Yeah, that's what that equal. That's what that was worth back in that day, and it was for every person that moved in Okay? And then, like he said, because you couldn't testify, what prohibited them from doing something to legally, and I say in quotes, make them forfeit that $500 bond? All right, that's something you got to think about. You know, you couldn't testify against them, so what they said was the truth according to the court system.
Yeah. Well, as far as to testify, you know, they had a story in the article where the husband, and I forget exactly what happened, but the husband, black husband, was killed, and
His wife saw
his
it.
wife saw it, but they were also were at an event or at his home with a half breed. You know, he said she was mixed, so the wife couldn't testify, but they had to create a whole nother law so that the half breed, you know, could testify, because they said she was closer in white or white enough to actually testify.
And the truth is, you know, we can't prove it from this article. How did they really know that? Because
Right.
we know that according to Numbers 1 and 18, you or whatever your father is, that's what the child is,
Yep.
regardless of what you look like.
Let me I'll run down some of these codes.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just did a chat because again in the article it's very very lengthy, but just get some points. It says certificate of freedom law. It says black residents to prove they were free by registering a certificate. All right, with the clerk. You got the 500 bond requirement, which the brothers just went over that. And you got it says restrictions on legal rights. Black people, so-called, could not testify against white people in court. Voting and political rights denied. The black man were not allowed to vote or hold public office. Jury and militia exclusions. Serve on jury. They could not serve in jury or state militia. Education restrictions. Black children were excluded from public schools. Even after that, schools were segregated. And then this is the last two: registration requirements. Black residents had to register with local authorities. And then the last one, it says employment and movement controls. Laws discouraged employers to hire black workers without documentation.
You
So they would have to pay a fee. That last one,
Yeah.
they would have to pay a fee. But if they couldn't pay it and they got hired undocumented, right?
Right.
Then the employer had to pay for it. So then, of course, they don't want to take the fine, and they're not going to hire black men.
Right.
And then we look at the conditions of the, you know, lift yourself up by your bootstrap. You know, the so-called black man going to jail, doing long sentences, you know, in jail, and not being able to provide for their family, being taken out of the system, pretty much. Bob, did you have more? Or I don't
not
know,
on that.
or where we left off.
You want me to reread it, or?
Kyle, is that what we were at? We were reading? Yeah, read it again.
Okay. So back in Isaiah chapter 10 and verse 1, it says, "Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees and that write grievousness which they have prescribed."
Yeah. So all the things in which the brother just brought out about that, these are grievances. And we just read 8, and these were just certain, you know, like the larger laws, but then they had smaller things that they were doing in between. But
I got verse 2. It says, "To turn aside the needy from judgment and to take away the right from the poor of my people, that widows may be their prey and that they may rob the fatherless."
yep. So as soon as they get, you know, as we said, it was all a lot of times to weaken our nation.
Yep.
You know, pull the black man out of the household who's supposed to be the protector. That goes against Yahweh Shem Yahushua, because we know that there's order, you know, by the man being in the house, you know. And so they disrupt that as well. You know.
Con. In that video clip, it also said, and I'm sure it's in the article, it said that they would make up frivolous things to take their land and their resources. Okay, and then like you just mentioned too, because of that registration, if they didn't have it, that the owner had to pay for it. If he didn't, he was fined.
Yeah.
Okay, that brings me to this precept. This is Sirach 34:22. It says, "He that taketh away his neighbor's living slayeth him, and he that defraudeth the labor of his hire is a bloodshed." Okay, so yeah, you pretty much, you a murderer. You took this man's resources. Okay, that was his way of providing for himself, or making a living, as the scriptures say. Okay, and he that defrauded the laborer is a bloodshed. You're not paying him. That always happened. It still happens today. We was talking about that the other day. How you always the last one hired, the first one fired. Okay, you can have all the experience in the world, and you still pay a lot less than Esau for doing the same thing, and he doesn't even qualify. Study just came out. Jake could have no felonies, a master's degree, apply for the same management position as a so-called white man, okay, with a felony and a GED, and he will lose that opportunity. Being the most qualified. So the real DEI is them. And we see that today. The Department of Labor Statistics came out. The ones who benefited most from that were the white women. Okay? You have these other programs, government programs, minority business enterprise, okay? XBE, WBE, all right? I had this other job in another state, general contractor, he said he was MBE, and see that women, she can get double credit, being a woman and then being a white woman, okay? Double credit for that, and he told me this, that he had one of those certifications, and I never saw his wife on a project, never met her, but he was getting that credit, and I saw it today. Recently, they have the wife come and let her do the talking, but he's running the stuff. All right. So all of these programs, and Jake is always saying this, the whole civil rights thing opened the door for other folks. Jake never benefited from that.
Bring it out.
Yep. It's Psalms 94:20.
Mm-hmm.
It says, "Shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, which frameth mischief by law?" All right, and when you look into that word mischief, it goes. Actually, I'm gonna just pull it in the Edom really quick. This is where mischief in the Edom. It says in the Edom online, it says evil condition, misfortune, hardship, wickedness, wrongdoing, or evil. All right, so it said they're framing mischief by law, so they're framing evilness by law. All right, they're framing wrongdoing by law.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and they still do it on a low key to this day, man.
Yep.
All right, they're doing it in plain sight. They were doing it in plain sight back then, but now they're doing it behind closed doors, man.
Mm-hmm.
All right, these things are being put into the laws to keep Jake at a low level, man.
Yep.
All right.
What was that on mischief?
Yeah, I can reread it. It says evil condition, misfortune, hardship, wickedness, wrongdoing, or evil.
All right, I got this for you. I got a scripture to back you up. This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 4, verse 14. The point is in 16. It says, "Enter not into the path of the wicked, go not in the way of evil men. Avoid it, pass not by it, turn from it, and pass away. For they sleep not, except they have done mischief, and their sleep is taken away, their sleep is taken away unless they cause some to fall."
Kind of say, what is the scripture say, that the wicked are estranged from the womb.
Mm-hmm.
All right, the spirit that is lifted up in him is not upright. All right, so that's why you can't deal with these Edomites, man. All right. You supposed to be hey, we don't deal with Edomites because we understand at the end of the day that they are our enemies and they're evil and they're looking to destroy us, man. All right. So hey, you not even supposed to stay. You supposed to stay away from them to the best of your ability. We understand we got to deal with them in today's society, man. All right.
Yep.
But you know that scripture said, they sleep not unless they cause some to fall. Can you reread that last one?
Verse 16, it says, "For they sleep not, except they have done mischief,
Yep.
and their sleep is taken away, unless they cause some to fall."
So they sleep not unless they have done mischief, man. So going back into that word mischief, they sleep not unless they done wrong somebody, man, or they have committed some type of evil towards Jake, man. All right. And they sleep is taken away if they didn't cause somebody to fall. So and they can't even get a good night's rest if they didn't mess Jake over during the day, man. All right. And that's going back into that perpetual hatred that the brother Barzal was speaking about, man. All right.
And that what you said, the point you made earlier about staying away from them. You know, we know we got to deal with them, but outside of having to deal with them, stay away from them. That's why the first part of your precept, Psalms 94:20, shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee. And see, that part to me, when you think about that, you got a lot of this term called brown nosing. Back in the day, you got your head all up Esau's ass, thinking that, he gonna do something special for you. You telling on your own people, reporting them for every little thing that they do, thinking he gonna lift you up. He gonna turn around and screw you over. That's why I asked that question. Shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee? He trying to get all of you out of there so he can move his own people in. He's gonna let and they can, and because of that, they're gonna always they keep tabs on you. They run a whole slate, marking down every mistake you make, so that when it is time to make a move, they got a case built against you. And because they're in that position of leadership, who's the top boss going to believe, you or the employee? Because that top boss put him in the position that he's in. He's not going to make him if he goes against him, that's going to make him look bad, and then he's got to answer somebody. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, you got it. Go ahead.
Because I got a couple more verses.
No, go ahead, bro.
Yeah. It's Psalms 94 and 21. It says, "They gather themselves together against the soul of the righteous and condemn the innocent blood." All right, and best believe, all right, these higher up elites, all right, they see the videos that are being posted by the men of the Lord on the internet. All right, they see us on the highways and byways, a prophesying, all right, the downfall of this place, man. All right, so they are there, best believe they are gathering themselves to against the soul of the righteous, man. All right, because they don't want their kingdom to fall, man. But we understand that that's gonna happen anyway. All right, it says
and not only to your point, we were just talking about that Project Looking Glass. Okay, not only do we know that the kingdom is going to fall, they know it is too, because they looked at every scenario, how they can get around this judgment, and there was none. They're going down, point blank, period. All right.
It says in verse 22, "But the Lord is my defense, and my power is the rock of my refuge, and he shall bring upon them their own iniquity, and shall cut them off in their own wickedness. Yea, the Lord our power shall cut them off." All right, so hey, we're not worried about, all right, these laws like that we're reading about that are being put against us, man. All right, we're not worried about the things that these devils can do unto us, man. Because we understand that the Lord is our defense, man. All right, He's our defense against the wiles of the devil, man. All right, it says, "And he shall bring them upon their own iniquity." We understand that these things that the Edomites have been doing, all right, for all these centuries, are going to be returned into their own head, man.
Yep.
All right. And eventually, it's what it says, it's gonna cut them off, man. Esau, Edom, once they go into slavery, They're gonna serve out their 1,000 years, and after that, they're gonna be cut off as a nation, man.
Yep.
All right. So hey, at this current point in time, we just have to wait on the Lord. All right, to deliver us up out of this place, man.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, I got a precept for you.
God.
It's the book of Sirach, chapter 4, verse 28. It says, strive for the truth unto death, and the Lord shall fight for thee.
Come. All right. So hey, you gotta strive for this thing until death, man. All right. And we have examples of that throughout the scriptures, man. All right. If you give your all to the Lord, guess what? He's gonna fight for you at the end of the day, man.
Mm.
All right.
Oh.
Yep.
If I may, that goes into what's that? We talked about this again too the other day. Barack. Proverbs 16:7. When a man's ways pleases the Lord, even his enemies will be at peace with him.
Okay.
Yeah. So you just keep Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai in the forefront, and everything's going to work out. You know, everything's going to work out, even though it may not work out. You know, according to what you thought it should be. You know, he may be trying to get you out of there. You know, in those places, and once you're done and settle somewhere else, that whole business will crumble. You know, but you weren't part of it.
Was there anything else?
Yeah, that was it.
All right, we'll close.
All right. So we hope this lesson was edifying to the elect body of the nation of Israel. Once again, going to give all praises, glory, and honor to
Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai,
Ba'ashem,
Rakakadash.
Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who do well in teaching us this 100% truth. Salutations to them and our fellow Akim who labor in this truth week in and week out on the highways and byways. Also salutations to the hopeful elect of the scattered 12 tribes of Israel, scattered to the four corners of the earth, that be like unto the speckled bird, also known as your Israelite foreigners and your so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. To you who say Shalom,
Shalom.
Kwame Yasharala,
Kwame Yasharala.
Abba Abba.
Blah, blah, blah.